Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Terrence Crawford will destroy Canelo Alvarez. You know, there's been a lot of history in boxing with David and Goliath moments. And there's no moment probably greater than this moment that's coming up here in September, where Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez are going to scrap for Canelo's 168-pound undisputed championship. Let me tell you something. With Terrence Crawford, right? He's not just following tradition. We know how he feels about Roy Jones, Mayweather, how he feels about Andre Ward. What he just feels about boxing. We know Terrence Crawford's history, but I just think when you look at the history of the smaller fighters going on to clip bigger fighters, I think Crawford, the way he's preparing for Canelo, I think he may be refining this David versus Goliath moment. And I personally feel, y'all know I argue both sides of the argument here when it comes to Crawford and Canelo, but I definitely feel, man, that there's a lot to be learned from fights like Mayweather, Canelo, Pacquiao, Margarito, Roy Jones, and John Ruiz. And if you really take a look at those fights, and you think about Crawford, you think about Canelo, and what they both bring to the table, I don't see how anybody could sit here and not see the parallels between Crawford's style and Crawford's mindset with those smaller fighters who went on to do the business. Now, although this happened back in, I think, 2012-13, Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez, who Crawford is going to fight. You know, I did a video talking about Canelo and how he looked against Bivol, Mayweather, and Erislandy Lara. But let's just look at this Floyd Mayweather and Canelo. Couple really interesting things about it. There was a huge size gap, no doubt. Floyd weighed 150 pounds. Canelo weighed 164 pounds. That's what he rehydrated to on fight night. Okay? Floyd was able to dominate Canelo. Now, people are going to say, okay, Canelo was inexperienced. You know, I don't know if I buy into all that. But the way he was able to do it, footwork, timing, ring IQ. Let's just stop right there. Snapshot, boom. Footwork, timing, ring IQ. Terrence Crawford has maybe the best footwork in the business. Well, Lomachenko and Usyk, you know, so let me not take it to the stupid. That's a whole nother level. But he has some of the best footwork in the business. Canelo does not. The timing of Terrence Crawford, some of the best timing in the business. And I'm not just talking about when he fought Earl Spence. In every fight, Crawford shows his timing to be exceptional. When he fought Porter, of course Spence, but even when he fought Madrimov, his timing was on point. People tend to overlook that. He didn't stop Madrimov, no. But his timing was on point, and because he had spectacular timing and he has power, it forced Madrimov to respect him and not get reckless just trying to rush in. Then the ring IQ. Floyd had the ring IQ over Canelo. Canelo was lost in there. Now, of course, Canelo today, he's more experienced. Canelo will tell you, and I don't think even Canelo believes this, if it was today, I would beat Floyd. Yes, I would beat him. This Canelo would beat Floyd. Canelo, hold your horses, man. Stop taking it to the stupid. Nobody beats Floyd. Canelo, in no way, shape, or form, from when he first started boxing to where he is now and in between, would ever beat a goddamn prime Floyd Mayweather or even the Floyd Mayweather he fought. He would never beat him. Nobody beats Floyd. And now you look at Canelo, right? Okay, Crawford's fighting him. Canelo has more experience, but Canelo's not as fast. He doesn't throw those combinations. He's not as elusive. What I'm telling you is my opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm entitled to my own facts on this one. Canelo's not the same. So the things that Floyd Mayweather used to beat Canelo and dominate him with footwork, timing, and IQ, Crawford has that. And Crawford is in camp right now at age 38. I think he's 38, right? Working on somehow enhancing those things that he does exceptionally well. And many boxers, I'm talking about just special boxers, look at Crawford and says, there's no way in the world Canelo can mess with Crawford with the footwork, timing, and IQ that he's shown up to this point, and to know Crawford is doing nothing but enhancing that before he gets in the ring with Canelo. How does Canelo win? How does he win? Let me tell you something. While you try to figure out the answer to that, just like Floyd Mayweather, Crawford is a master of that distance. He's a master of feints. He does the stance switching, but I ain't sure that he had to be real comfortable in there with Canelo and have Canelo out there, just like, free swinging recklessly and aimlessly out there, just looking all over the place, balance off. He got to have Canelo just really more out of character than normal when you see Canelo can't catch up to somebody. Then Crawford, I think, will be switching stances and you start seeing him get comfortable and getting his rhythm, and then it's all downhill for Canelo. But one thing for sure, I'm going to say it again. Floyd Mayweather didn't rely on brute force to get that victory over Canelo. Crawford doesn't rely on brute force, uses that intelligence. And once he starts to break you down, next thing you know, just like Floyd Mayweather, the dissection is underway. And that's exactly what we could see when Crawford and Canelo get in the ring. It's Crawford do Canelo the same way Floyd did him, using those same things that we just talked about, the footwork, timing, and IQ. I see Canelo getting frustrated, to be honest with you, when I think about it. Some people will say this. I don't agree with this, that Terence Crawford's more offensively versatile than Floyd. And he has knockout power that Floyd didn't really show when he was moving up in the higher weights. It's hard for me to say anybody's more versatile than Floyd, but the fact that Crawford can fight out of the orthodox position very effectively and fight out of the southpaw stance very effectively, maybe when you're looking at it from that angle, then yeah, Terence Crawford is more versatile than Floyd. So that means Canelo could have two problems with one fighter when they're inside that ring. And if the southpaw stance isn't working for Crawford, Canelo is shooting that right hand, because Canelo's going to shoot that right hand. Then Crawford turns orthodox now. And now Canelo's going to have a problem. So what it is Canelo's going to end up having to be ready for two different fighters, all in one pair of boxer trunks. Because Crawford is basically two goddamn fighters, an orthodox fighter and a southpaw fighter. How do you prepare for that? Anyway, that's the same question Margarito was asking himself. When the smaller fighter, Pacquiao, went on to fight Margarito back in 2010. It's another David versus Goliath type fight. And it's going to be it's very comparable when you look at it stylistically to Crawford and Canelo. Now, Manny Pacquiao moved up, to 150 pounds to face Margarito, who was naturally, closer to like 160, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, you saw what happened in that fight. Speed, angles, volume. With Crawford, he's got speed, he's got angles, and he can up it and increase the volume if he has to. And I think he will do that against Canelo. So now, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, two of the greatest fighters ever to put on a pair of gloves, they have these attributes that they use to beat bigger opponents. Floyd beat Canelo. Pacquiao beat Margarito. Margarito's style and Canelo's style is kind of similar, man. Coming towards you. Canelo has better defense, but Margarito just, he had defense, but his face too, he didn't mind taking shots. But Margarito's thing was putting pressure on you, trying to go to the body, hit you with the right hand, and just overwhelm you with pressure and just, cause you to damn explode. And you saw what Manny Pacquiao was able to do to Margarito. So understand those attributes that Pacquiao possessed when he fought the bigger fighter, the attributes Floyd possessed when he fought the bigger fighter, Crawford possesses all those attributes. So that's what you call a double whammy. Let me tell you something. If I was to describe what Canelo's about to be served, as far as Terrence Crawford as an opponent, I was like, if I'm in a sandwich shop, I would describe that we're going to be serving him a shit sandwich. Because that's what it's going to taste like. It's going to taste like shit when he gets in that ring and Crawford is just doing any and everything to him. Viva el Negro Cabrones is what they're going to be shouting. I don't see how someone could just not give Crawford a chance. You know what I mean? I'll just be honest with you. The stuff I'm telling y'all is the truth. I'm not making this shit up. Even if you don't like Crawford, you got to be like, yo, hood champion's making a point here. Crawford does possess those attributes. That Canelo, who fought Floyd Mayweather, was younger, faster, sharper, threw more combinations. This guy's more experienced, but he's slowed a whole lot. It's the truth. I think Canelo's going to step to Floyd, but I mean to Crawford, but if he come out there looking like the guy who fought James Kirkland, we got to stop and say, how did Canelo do that? Anyway, man. Roy Jones Jr., John Ruiz. Another one of those fights. But one thing about Crawford, right? When you talk about Pacquiao, Roy Jones, Floyd, I think Floyd and Crawford are both calculated. I almost want to say Floyd is more calculated than all of them. His brain is just amazing. It doesn't mean that he far exceeds them as far as intelligence, but he's just on another planet. But Crawford is definitely more calculated and smarter than Pacquiao. And Roy Jones, it's kind of hard to say, man, but Roy was special too. But anyway, when you talk about the defense of Crawford, the counterpunching of Crawford, and his awareness and fighting with his eyes and seeing everything, he has that just like Floyd. Pacquiao didn't really have it like Crawford and Floyd. And that's something that's definitely should be a concern for Canelo. Because Crawford has amazing awareness and he has them spider senses. When that shit start tingling, Crawford knows, okay, something I need to make an adjustment. And when he does, he just further extends himself from his opponent. And if he seems to be losing the upper hand, he regains the upper hand. So with him and Canelo, I just can't see Crawford not at some point recognizing the time to make an adjustment and going to plan B, C, D, E, and F, because Canelo only can do it one thing. And Crawford, again, he dissects him. Now, Roy Jones, it's just funny to watch Roy Jones get so upset about Floyd Mayweather. And I get it. Floyd feels that he's the best. Why shouldn't he? But I understand how people feel about Muhammad Ali. To me, you just shouldn't say nothing about Muhammad Ali, period. That's just my opinion. But I was raised, I ain't gonna get into all that, but I'll just say, when it comes to the deceased, if it's not something positive, you just let them take whatever negativity or whatever, let them take it with them. You don't keep that alive. And Floyd should just leave. He just shouldn't say shit about Ali. But anyway, Roy Jones jumped up, man, from light to heavyweight to heavyweight. He was light heavyweight, skipped past cruiserweight, went to heavyweight. Crawford's at 154, going past 160, going right to 168. It's the same thing, a two-weight division jump. Roy Jones did it. How did Roy Jones do? when it came to that size gap. He did pretty damn good, didn't he? Now, one thing about Roy Jones, he put on muscle, but he was able to keep his speed. He was able to keep everything. And he looked spectacular in there against Ruiz. He used movement. He used timing to outclass Ruiz. Crawford has movement. Crawford has timing. Ruiz and Canelo, skill-wise, IQ-wise, two different beasts. But still, Ruiz was trying to come forward, trying to put pressure on him. Then it got to the point he was getting hit with some shit, and then what happened? Ruiz stopped trying to rush in on Roy. Roy actually had him a couple occasions like Roy was going to stop him. But the thing is this, when it comes to Crawford, right? Like Roy, Crawford weaponizes unpredictability. And I just think that's unpredictability is something that the Reynoso camp and the whole Canelo team is they can't solve that. It's like trying to solve for X and you're not providing enough data. You know what I mean? You're just not giving enough information to try to solve for X. And the only time they're going to be getting little bits and pieces of information to try to solve for X is when they're actually in the ring with Terence Crawford. So by the time they start to try to somewhat figure it out, they're already in round 8 or 9, and Canelo's probably down 7 rounds to 2. And Crawford is just, switching stances, heel toeing, electric sliding, Cupid shuffling, goddamn having a ball in the ring. Probably got Bomac over in the corner barbecuing with all kind of goddamn Summertime by Will Smith and Dougie Fresh playing in the background. Because they're going to be having a good goddamn time. But understand this. Debating reactions, switching stances, controlling the tempo. It's all things Crawford does very well. We understand Canelo's bigger. But understand all the attributes that we talked about that were used by Floyd, Manny, and Roy to beat bigger fighters. Terence Crawford has them all. He has them all. So he's not just moving up in weight as a small guy moving up. Terence Crawford is breaking off those chains and rushing towards the opportunity to challenge himself and see just how great he is. And Canelo going to be standing over there in the corner, maybe a little bit timid and shit after the first 30 seconds where he says, holy shit. El Negro ain't playing around though. Crawford's not just moving up, man. He's bringing elite level adaptability, and the chin is the only thing I'm a little concerned about. He's never been, Kavaliauskas has dropped him, but for the most part, you can't say anything bad about Crawford's chin. Some of y'all may say he's chinny, but look, man, Crawford ain't never been knocked out, and that Kavaliauskas, I think it was a knockdown. So, but officially, he's never been knocked down. You know what I'm saying? So I think we got to be fair there. But why should Crawford be the favorite? Again, when you're looking at the Roy Jones, the Pacquiaos, and Mayweathers, man, when you talk about different traits like ring IQ, Mayweather and Jones, they were underdogs, and they used their ring IQ to get victories. Terence Crawford has that. When it comes to speed and timing, Pacquiao and Roberto Duran, those guys were underdogs in their fights. Duran went to fight Barkley. He was the underdog, but he was able to use speed and timing, man. And Terence Crawford is razor sharp with his speed and timing. So again, that's something that's going to show up in the fight. Adaptability. Everybody, all those fighters I've been talking about have it. And Terence Crawford is a switch hitter, so he can adapt, and Canelo's going to be fighting two people, basically. Mental toughness, Duran and Pacquiao. Ain't nobody got mental toughness like Duran and Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? And Crawford has proven to have mental toughness as well. So again, box checked. When it comes to legacy motivation, all of them had legacy motivation. And if there's one fighter who has more legacy motivation than all of them, it's Terence Crawford, because history is at stake here. This is opportunity to become a three-time undisputed champion. And do it by clipping the face of boxing after having one fight at 154, coming off of a year at inactivity, and then going up and boxing the very active, very dangerous Saul Canelo Alvarez, Guadalajara, Jalisco's finest. Boy, oh boy, man, if he does that shit, I'm telling you, it's going to be over. But I just think Crawford brings a hybrid of all the best traits of the boxing greatest superstars that we just talked about. Anyway, Crawford's an upset artist, and I just think people need to give him his credit as an upset artist, and people need to understand that an upset is brewing, and really stop and think about this video that I just did and all those traits that we talked about, to those fighters who are underdogs, what they possess to go on and get big wins. And look, it's a big damn deal. And I think if anybody can do it, I think it's Terence Crawford. And one thing that I want to mention, that Roberto Duran, Iran Barkley, y'all got to understand, man, Roberto Duran was just special, man. He was a former lightweight. Barkley was a natural middleweight. Okay, that's a big damn difference. And then Duran won, which was, I just watched that fight the other day. It was a pretty brutal war. Just using his craft, skill, and grit. And he went there and got the victory, man. So Crawford has Duran, and to me, Crawford has Duran's toughness, but he adds, a lot of cerebral precision and modern conditioning, man, because this sports nutrition, sports medicine, sports science, and everything that he and his squad are doing over there. You watch Crawford in training, he look like a goddamn robot. He like Crawfordator. He got all kind of shit and wires and shit hooked up to him. Weights and vests and shit. It's like, yo, Duran ain't trained like that, and Crawford's doing it. So that modern conditioning gonna give Crawford a really, really good chance. Anyway, if you sit back and you look at these fights, the Duran fight, the Jones fight, the Pacquiao fight, the Mayweather fight against Margarito, against Canelo, against John Ruiz and Iran Barkley. You look how the smaller man was able to do the business. I don't see how you could not have Crawford destroying Canelo Alvarez, because Crawford's built a whole lot different than those guys. He had the ability to learn from them, take from them, add that to his repertoire. They didn't really have an opportunity to take nothing from anyone. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. Stop sleeping on Terence Crawford, man. Terence Crawford just may get in the ring and do the business. Viva el Negro Cabrones. In the breeze.